Good evening. I'm Christina deVillier, a poet among other things. I really want to thank EOU for hosting this virtual Ars Poetica. Thank you. And I want to thank my family for being a live audience. Hi. Because it's hard to perform poems into a screen by yourself. And I also want to thank all of you who are watching this. Most of the poems I'm going to read are from my book, Long Coordinates, which is due out in 2021 from Lynx House Press. Before I start, I just want to acknowledge that these are strange and difficult times. I hope you all are staying safe, and also I hope you're pushing the boundaries that need to be pushed. I want to say that Black Lives Matter, and that I'm committed to learning and relearning and relearning and relearning what it means to be in solidarity. Some of the poems I'm going to read are coming back to haunt me these days. In some ways, this year reminds me of 2016 when some of these poems were written. I think we've learned some things since then. I think you kind of come around and then you come around and then you come around, but maybe each time you've learned something. I know I have. This first one is a new poem, not from the book, a sonnet. And I'm still kind of thinking through the title, but my working title is Fragility. Each spring the buried creeks alive beneath the street, undermining. Is that the word? No, creeks don't mine. They collect, dissemble, sift, sing. Never profit. Now this one's found its way into the basement. You name this a violence. This is your father's house. Invaded, infiltrated. But this house buried the creek. This house and associates, missions, pelts, poxes, professors, streets. The buried creek, still here, names all of this invasive, noxious, brutal, beholden, like a dam. Along the street, the settlers stack sandbags, caulk the living water out. The living kids forecast the coming drought. Windows. Look through all the windows. See, the view is different from each one. This way, a melting snowman. That way, Daddy's old red truck. In spring, as elsewhere wars progress, we pause to mark our charts. Blanks fired, snow we need. Rounds fired, heat that greases avalanches. Berries, Kip, and Stella. Later, cuts the season short. We can't save anything, I know. We have to work at something, though. Our arc is mud and matchsticks. In my dream, my brother fingerpicks a 6-string rainbow. He learns well. He's promising. In my other dream, we're in a basement full of dead sea creatures. In my mother's dream, the neighbor's horses run my grief into the ground. In the morning, the snake flexes water through the belts across the canyons of basalt. Each device devours motion. We are talking heat. I take a shower, share at Jade's on the sill, wash in goat milk soap until the sun turns up the heat again. I'm mad for it, whole person, mouth wide open. Paradise Lost. Everything burning or breaching in this house. Sugar smoke, impossible wails, Ginsberg reading Sunflower Sutra, his voice shallow, electric, furious, like a long rock ballad like they don't make anymore. Outside, 2 trees walk by, except no, they are not walking, they are flying by, bound in the back of a truck. Here is the city. Are you tired yet of playing with the big kids like it's brave just to be touched? Playing at numbers and jams and jackhammers. Are you awake yet in the early jackhammer dark, and are you like me wondering? Obsessed like a lover with unlearning, unmaking, retreating to the bones, getting inside the bones, choosing your setting but choosing but settling. Last night I dreamed I lived on a boat and ate nothing but greens. Later I dreamed I was stuffing blank books into the mouths of all the young men that I know. If to know is to record, if it is, I keep a million records, a sublimity of records. I keep you too, and you keep none. You eat apples as if they are apples. I dig into apples like a poet mining for secrets, greedily, deeply, shards everywhere, cores everywhere, none of it looking very true. Nothing signifying, not even the sun when it comes through the window. Outside, a squirrel buries a peanut in the dirt, so the material hides the material, maybe because America. But listen, I don't know. I watch a crow watch the squirrel mark the spot with her whole body, twitching like a stylus landing. The peanut, if forgotten, will not kindle into anything, not here, not a roasted one, but later there will be acorns and chestnuts, and yes, even here some of them might leap out and up to sip the Bull Run water and split the sidewalks later and later when everything is hot muck and dusk. They're telling me here in the city that I am post-rural, that we unmoored are very well informed, that we in singularity are post-all, even irony, boundless but hollow, like drums, resounding everything. Digging for the real, we practice mountaintop removal on other human bodies to aid our perfect recall. There may be other ways to map the essential landmarks. I don't know. I'll watch the crow. Later, I go to look at the place where the peanut was buried. Not even a footprint marks that ground. So, where even did or did we even sow? Stakes. She planted 30 ponderosas. Not one lived all summer. Porcupines got them, and deer. Things she never thought would stoop to eating waxen needles, or not until the other green around was laid to waste. Go west, young woman. Witness nothing rising where you broke the earth and pried out stones for them and watered them. That one I think I need to dedicate, the one I just read, to my mentor Jane Mead, who passed away, I think about a year ago. I hope to see her again before she died, but I didn't. But she loved that poem, and I love and miss her. She's a great poet. Check her out. Money, 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 Water, Water, Water is one of her books. Yeah. Blues material. How about wishbones? How about no matter how you break them, what you get's a broken thing? Or how about arcs? Today, at last, you listed the arc problems. Like no matter how you pack the arc, what you can't fit is fucked. And you can't fit all you love. Also, someone has to name you, mark you, build it. Here's another trouble. Promises. These troubles. Or say you're trying to scratch out a life on land your family stole, and you are poor and tired, and so you tie your fence into the ponderosa pines and girdle them, and in 10 years you've killed trees that saw the family crime. Also, your fence is falling down. Your little girl is running around with some rough kid in buckskin, says he's gonna weather end times hunting rattlesnakes and drilling his own fires. Shit like that. You laugh at him. The weather's wrong this spring again. Looked down the road, I couldn't see. Nothing looked like mine to me. You learn songs by men named Blind and Mississippi. Their old trouble isn't yours. But songs about not troubling the water seem like yours. Their old land is not your land, but your land isn't your land either. It belongs to fire and snow. You are broke to this by now, but here I lay my burden down. You have ridden these rock roads your whole life long and counting. How about the fly that grows a globe of goldenrod around itself to sleep in through the winter? It emerges when the sun is not so southerly. Its winter place is hollow now and swaying. The old homestead blew down finally you found when you walked out there last. You hadn't looked in years. It's all blue. Fly out. Look back. A coin flip hurtles round a star. Or you, down here, half-witnessed, gashing rough roads into mountains, counting acres burnt, counting now unblackened board feet, half invisible. You scrub the soot out of your pores before you sit with her to eat. Warm your hands with beans and whiskey, just enough to pick a hallelujah song or spoonful song next to the stove before you go to sleep. Some nights a satisfaction song. You're tired, but sad songs are the songs she knows to sing along with you. I'm satisfied, tickled too, old enough to marry you. I'm satisfied. It's gonna bring you back. Plastic blows out of your trash to tassel budding cottonwoods. You try to see this as you see a broken bird, blues material, make a pretty thing of grief. You're trying now to lean on grief to make it your companion. Same with guilt. The choking trees, the years you ain't going nowhere. Your little girl's expecting nothing. How about the bitter greens you cut in April rain and ate with nothing dressing them but salt and vinegar? Or how about the trout you pulled out of the flood? Rainbow, 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 fried in cornmeal for your one true love. Sweet vinegar, right here, a song, please, these songs, another. The train goes where it has to go. We made love like old friends older than we are. And then you pulled my hand along your pale rib cage to your throat. You told me 2 weeks past your oldest friend was crushed by coal, buried in the dark while he was sleeping on a bad night in the wrong train car just north of Buffalo. In your chest, your breath beat on the bars. I hate to think of you, I said, in long white trains strung out with such cargo. In a box somewhere, you said, you have his drawings of the ends of days, parrots guzzling oil, women snared in power cords, your city in the coils of a kraken made of freeways. The two of you were 14 then and dreamed of being hobos. I asked you to stop hopping trains, stop trusting yourself to freight. I drew my hand along your pale belly to your wrist, traced the tracks you've built from bone to softer skin. I felt you turning then. You left the bed. You said you hoped your friend was too strung out just then to know that he was dying in a train car full of coal. Rookie move, you said, to climb into a coal bin. Well, you shook your head. You picked your clothes up off the bed. He knew what he was doing up till then, you said. These days, a paranormal romance. I think I've been biting my own hands in my sleep. I don't know where else these marks could be coming from. I sleep by myself most nights these days. The light from my neighbor's porch is interdimensional, a stake through the eyelid light. Most nights these days I sleep, with an eyeless mask on my face, foam in my ears too, trying to shut it out. The freeway noise, the drunk kids breaking and entering, fighting, it's snowing. I carry a pain in my jaws these days, it's fresh. These kids are breaking down drunken in the alley outside my open window. Well, fuck them. I can't rest in peace. Also the water. The water here is poison, we have recently been formally informed. I was sure of this already, so vindicated. These days, I feel so much like Sisyphus that some nights I have to excavate my car and drive out into the corn stubble and find a hill and steal a stone from the bottom of the hill and add it to one of the walls. Walls are popping up all over these days like varicose veins, except you never see anyone constructing a fatally ill body. Well, not explicitly. Well. Listen, I am working hard these days to summon your voice from the other side. Now finally I get you on the phone. You ask me what I want you to ask me. What do you want me to ask you, you ask. This next one I wrote the day after the November 2016 election. So I actually haven't done a reading of this one before because it's a lot for me too. But like I said, you come around and you come around and you come around. So I thought I would come around to this one and yeah, just that's the headspace I was in. So. I said I'd try to look you in the eye today, America. November 9th, 2016. So do I love you? Well, I love the hoodoos in your red and white canyon. I'm trying to think about the barn owl ghosting or about the magpie and dove who seemed friends and every morning chased each other in loops around the columns and around the twisting lips of the huge willow. Or the good men in farm country New York when Cole and I were poor, having just been farmers, and we were on the road and it was storming. They were veterans of foreign wars. We asked if we could sleep out of the rain in their picnic shelter. And yes, they said, and offered even a room and bought us Coors. We drank together and smiled about all being poor. We looked like hippies. They looked like neighbors. That was Occupy time. And we all smiled about those poor, cold, wet young people downriver who cared so goddamn hard. Well, so do I love you. I talked with the Legion commander's wife for a while about apples, etc. The apple growers round here struggle, she said, even the ones with connections to grocers in the city. She said she and her hairdresser help each other not to spend. When we get bored with ourselves, we trade shoes, she said, or scarves, warm things, she said. And Cole was talking to a guy named Chainsaw who was very dubious about wolves and hippies and American debt, but explained in great detail how best to ID and then shoot and cook the American gray squirrel. How do I? Well, do I? So do I love you? I wonder today to whom these people have been cruel. I know to whom I have been cruel. I hate to remember, but I remember. So do you love me? Last night on my porch in the heartland, I cried for a while. a flag blurred on my neighbor's living room wall. Through the window I saw, so, well, so do you? Love you? Well, I saw through the wall. So do you love me? Well, do you? And do we love us? Well, to love, well, love is work, I know. Is digging, is unbuilding walls. So maybe I don't love even hoodoos or owls. Maybe just enjoy the look of them, just enjoy their surfaces, just feel better looking at them. Christ. But also our neighbor teaches us to graft rare pears. But also I pull the last pigweed out of a good bed of onions. But also we discover a new apple in a homestead orchard, and the apple tastes like oranges when we eat it. But also Jose, when I was 16, stood with me on a tall truck in a field in a thunderstorm to save with me the last of the peppermint harvest. But also Jose, when I was 16, asked me what disgusting means, that word. And I told him. And a woman in the truck stop bar last night, he said, loudly asked the bartender, what the hell kind of place is this full of disgusting Mexicans? He had grease on his shirt that night, he said, from fixing Byron's tractor. But also he brought carrots from his garden and beers to share with me. But also I didn't give him anything, not anything, except that definition when he asked for it. But no, I know what I hate, and it is no one like him. It is styrofoam and leaf blowers and greed and sports utility vehicles and traps and rape and drones. But no, not the quiet gazing kind of drone that gives me the new spectacular intimate visions of the last snow leopards and the last whooping cranes, each soft, breeze-blown and song-wealthy hair and feather. But also, I was 12, and we were a flat-eyed, frightened clutch, calling Alexandra soft and weakling and pinching and tripping her because the pecking order was real, and we were almost at the bottom, and she was our friend. We made lower. But also a block of my neighbors just punched me in the throat. But yes, I know my neighbors. But please forgive me. But also today my eyes flicker and seep when I make hollowed out sleepless eye contact with a teacher in a hijab. My mouth shakes and I am so sorry, and she says softly, it's okay. But I didn't give her anything, not anything, only this gaze, the other does it reached. So do you? How can you? So do I love you? But also I have reached for other bodies without asking when I wanted to. But also I was frightened once by a man in a big black body below a bridge in Portland in the middle of the night. He loomed and reached and bared his teeth and demanded dollars, which I gave because I was scared. But also I chewed Rowan to bits that same night for not being enough of a man, I said, in that moment to try to defend me. But he was scared too at 19. And these days he has realized he is not a man, not that category of human. And I know the one who scared me feared somebody too. And all of this at once is true. So do I, how do I, so do I love you. This next one is a cover, as a poet acquaintance of mine who used to be a punk singer liked to say it when he added other people's poems to his readings. This poem is by Ross Gay, who's one of my favorite poets and whose work is more important than ever in this moment. And I just encountered this poem for the first time a few days ago. And I'm very glad I did. A small needful fact. is that Eric Garner worked for some time for the Parks and Rec Horticultural Department, which means, perhaps, that with his very large hands, perhaps, in all likelihood, he put gently into the earth some plants which, most likely, some of them, in all likelihood, continue to grow, continue to do what such plants do, like house and feed small and necessary creatures, like being pleasant to touch and smell, like converting sunlight into food, like making it easier for us to breathe. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. Groundwork. Oh God, my God, why have you forsaken me? She sang and broke the sod with a spade, its tooth silver where she filed it, shining like the rim of the kind of glass you play on with the soft part of your finger for a soft, forgiving hum. Oh God, my God, she sang, and she was happy then. She liked the sound of it, Golgotha, murmuring, and digging sounds, the cut and turn, the hands recalling softness, learning callous. As the good spade rang, she sang, and filled the glass with sweat, a bitter cup for one's, a singing cup for someone. All right, y'all, this is the last one. Thanks. Thank you, too. Taxonomies. I postulate our loneliness is lostness, also namelessness. We call departing birds a murmuration, murder, wedge, or parliament, and this depends on kind and inclination. I propose for us a reverence of seekers, a memento of disciples to a disappearing art, or a cacophony of liars, or a burning house of friends, dancers, drinkers, drifters, unmoored, all unmoored. A naming is a mooring. Is this true? My friends, I think the world is ending as we sail around discussing current charts and what to call ourselves, and I've heard grieving poets are a yawn. And we've all read the books. We've seen the world end before. Each cut-loose generation names its special doom. So shrug, it's a condition of the humans. And yes, I recall the atom bomb in geologic time and blips on radar, creatures caught in stone or oil, and spring and all, and dust and all. But what I see is a quickening of mashup red and blue, haphazard, hazmat, white noise, blasted hillside, clickbait, halftime, Botox, spill site, hookup, handlers trotting out the trick and swagger, dry dock, thirst, a scree, a blur, I name these times, a hurtling, and try to slow down. I lie out in the sun and slowly mark my categories on a sheet of paper, things I love, things I destroy, and people want to hold each other, want to be tied down and named. I heard a family of trees wanted to be haunted. What I saw was chain smoke, chainsaw fire, and beetles, haste and habit hollowing from crown to root, and now it is a wood, and now it isn't. Things are instant. Just like this, a wood becomes a fleet of boats, or heart-rotten, or burnt, or drunk. It isn't hard to haunt or hollow trees. But, oh, to hear them name themselves a family. Oh, to let them be. Today I learned the Vikings kept a cage of ravens on each ship, and loosed one now and then to loop above the boat if land was nowhere near. If land was near, the bird, sick of the sea, would fly to roost. Today I thought the poems were a sextant I could spin in sight to help me find a harbor. I touched the tempered mechanisms, all the little lines, precisions, and the open arms. What do I need to mark, to chart how near to us we are? That's it. Thanks, guys. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Be well.